Guys, it's your girl T, and I'm here for another recap of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So let's go ahead and get started. So in the opening scene, we see Nene Leakes and her husband Greg Leakes, and basically they're in Nene's massive closet. Nene has a badass closet, I'm not even gonna front. So Greg is just sitting there talking to her, and he's just like a little lap dog. I feel like Greg has just fallen off over the years. I remember when the show first started, the first season, he just seemed like this real well-to-do, this real astute man, very masculine, very sexy older guy. Now he's just overweight, he's super effeminate, all he does is cry and sniff behind Nene. It's like he's just so scared for her to just flip out one day and be like, I got a prenup, you can leave now, Greg. It's like he's just so scared for Nene to leave him, it's just ridiculous. You know, he's asking Nene, what do you plan on wearing? And are you gonna wear a dress? And you know, what kind of shoes are you gonna wear? And then if that's not bad enough, he goes and he puts on a pair of Nene's shoes. And we find out that him and Nene were the same size shoe. Too much information, Greg. Too much damn information. So the next thing we have Kandi. She goes to go visit Cynthia. She wants to talk to Cynthia because she needs advice. Because as we all know, Cynthia's family did not like Peter when they had decided to get married. Cynthia's mom and sister tried to sabotage the wedding. So Kandi's going to Cynthia for advice. Kandi's really upset about the whole situation that happened with her mother and Carmen and her mother and Todd. And Kandi breaks down crying and she's like, you know, how can she have a wedding when everybody's mad at everybody and, you know, nobody's supporting her? And she's upset at how her mother is treating Carmen as well. And Cynthia's just giving her advice like, you know, you have to do what you have to do at the end of the day. That's your relationship. It's not your mother's relationship. You have to do what makes Kandi happy. And another thing I really liked is the fact that Cynthia basically told Kandi that you need to have a conversation with your mother and you need to reinforce the boundaries and let her know that you are my mother. While I love you and I respect you, you can't tell me how to live my life. So I think Cynthia gave Kandi some really, really good, needed advice. So in the next scene, we have Mama Joyce. She decides to pay Phaedra a visit. Mama Joyce is a damn trip this season. You know, I know these shows are scripted to a point. It's almost like this bride is working overtime, you know what I'm saying, to get that Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm like, is Mama Joyce looking for a spinoff? Because she's just so turned up this season for no damn reason. That rhymes. Anyways, we go see Phaedra, and Phaedra's in there with Aiden, and Aiden's on the phone talking to Apollo, and Aiden's like, Daddy, what are you doing? And Apollo's like, oh, I'm in the office, son. And I'm like, pause, did he just say he was in the office? Apollo, what do you do for a living? You're the Tommy of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. You ain't got no job, man. So if that's not funny enough, Joyce walks into the office and Joyce goes in to go talk to, you know, Phaedra, and Aiden's right there. And Joyce tries to give Aiden a treat. And Aiden's like, I don't want a treat from you. When I tell y'all, I fell the hell out. I was on Twitter cracking up. It's a damn shame when that little baby, who ain't but all of 3 years old, can sense how evil Mama Joyce is. He was like, I don't want no treats from you. You might do something to that Kandi. That's what he wanted to say, but he's not that articulate. He couldn't say it the way that we can say it, so he just said his own little cute way, like, I don't want a treat from you. Aiden had me cracking up. And so Mama Joyce starts talking to Phaedra, and she's mad at Phaedra for basically hooking Todd and Kandi up. She's like, Phaedra, I find it funny that your man is, you know, 6 foot, you know, he's very handsome. You make sure to get yourself a good man. But then Mama Joyce also fails to mention that Apollo is also an ex-felon who did almost 10 years in prison. So what the fuck is Mama Joyce talking about? Anyways, so she's telling Phaedra that, you know, I find it funny that you can hook yourself up with a fine, tall man, but then you hook up Kandi with this short, big-headed man. And she's like, Kandi's short, he's short, they both got big-ass heads. 2 short, big-headed people do not need to be together. Y'all, when she said that, I fell the hell out. Todd is a very little man. He has little legs, little arms, and he does have a good-sized head. But at the end of the day, that is who your daughter fell in love with. Who are you to judge his physical appearance? Who are you to judge what he does for a living? If that's who your daughter wants to be with, she is grown enough to make that decision. And I find it funny that she would tear her own daughter up physically. Kandi gets drugged all through the internet for her looks and the way she wears her hair. Why would her mother even feed into that? You know, why would her mother even put that out there that Kandi has a big old head? I'm like, Mama Joyce ain't shit. Boy, oh boy. Trifling. I just find it funny that she be going in on Todd. She acts like Todd is the head fry cook at Bojangles. Like, this man has a decent job. He's a producer. He's produced for a number of reality shows. He makes decent money. Granted, he's not as rich as Kandi, but he's not broke either. Now, she came home with the head fry cook. I would give Kandi the side eye. But Todd ain't doing too shabby. Mama Joyce and her old ass needs to calm the hell down. Somebody needs to give her a Valium and some dick, because I'm tired of her shit. She's just way too turned up this season. Now we move on to Kenya. And like I said on Twitter, Kenya is the official president of Team I Have No Storyline. Kenya has absolutely nothing of value to add to this show. I don't even believe anymore that she even has an African boyfriend. She keeps talking about this African dude that she's dating, but we have yet to see him. We have yet to hear a phone call from him. Something ain't clean in the buttermilk. So Kenya's in her closet, and her homeboy, I keep forgetting the dude's name, the gay one that she's always with, they start twerking once again. They start twerking in the closet. They start twerking in her shoes. They start twerking over here. They start twerking over there. They start twerking. Okay. See, now this bitch got me twerking. Let me slow down a little bit. Let me stop real quick, okay? So she's basically in the closet twerking, not talking about shit, getting ready to pack up and go meet up with Nene so they can go on this trip to Savannah. So in the next scene, Kandi decides to have that heart-to-heart with Mama Joyce. So she's talking to Mama Joyce, and she's letting Mama Joyce know exactly how she feels. So Mama Joyce turns around and tries to twist everything around on Carmen and try to blame Carmen for everything. And then she accuses Kandi of not having her mother's back, telling Kandi that, you know what, Carmen is your friend. I'm your mother. Regardless if I'm right or wrong, you're supposed to have my back regardless. And Candy's like, what are you talking about? You were all the way out of pocket for how you treated her. You were wrong for how you spoke to her, but you're mad because I'm not taking up for you. And then Mama Joyce basically tells Kandi that she's washing her hands of Kandi. Kandi starts breaking down crying, saying, why? Why are you washing your hands of me? And I'm sitting here looking at Kandi like, are you for real? You know, she won't even look her mother in the eye. She won't even make eye contact with her mother. She just starts breaking down like a little 5-year-old child. It's like her mother has some type of spell over her. It's really, really creepy and weird as I see their dynamic. Okay, so Kandi's sitting her crying. Mama Joyce don't give two shits about her tears. And she's basically telling Kandi that she's going to wash her hands of her because she's tired of Kandi putting everybody else before her. You know, it's like, are you serious? You know, you're going off on her about her friend who's been her friend for years, who's had her back for years. Now all of a sudden you have an issue because Carmen works for Kandi. Now you don't like Todd because Todd has moved into Kandi's house. To me, like I said from day one, Mama Joyce is more worried about the money than she is about the relationships that Kandi has. And Kandi needs to get this nipped in the bud ASAP. Now on to Miss Porsha Stewart. So Porsha and her sister, who is the bootleg housewife who won't go away, they decide to go shoe shopping because for some reason Porsha has a stylist. I'm like, what does she do that she needs a stylist? So they're in here looking at shoes, and there's a badass pair of shoes. They're so beautiful, sparkles and diamonds and rhinestones and everything else. These shoes cost $7,500. I'm not gonna lie, them is some badass shoes, but I would not want to pay that much for a pair of shoes on my feet. I just wouldn't feel right walking around in $7,500 shoes. And other folks don't even got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, but maybe that's just me. So she's talking about how she wants these shoes, but she's trying to cut back on her spending because she's not getting money like that from Cordell. And they start laughing about how Cordell used to get in the credit card. They would just go shop their little hearts out. And then, you know, they would just have the credit card company just call Cordell and he would take care of it. So it's obvious that Porsha, to me, was nothing more than a gold digger. She has nothing of value to add to this show or to her marriage. It makes sense to me perfectly why Cordell left her. This woman is just ditzy as hell. She has no knowledge of money, no knowledge of self. She's a trip. She's a straight up trip. Her stylist gets there, and her stylist basically tells her, you know what, let's go ahead and try and find a little bit cheaper shoes. So the cheaper shoes are $3,500. So she manages to save about $2,000. So she tries on the cheaper shoes, and the cheaper shoes are just as cute. You know, they're very cute as well. But my thing is, you're the same woman who a few scenes ago was crying about only having $500 to your name, and you were having to move back in with your mother. So my thing is, if you're living with your mother, you only so-called have $500 to your name, wouldn't every penny that you have coming in count towards something? Why would you just turn around and pay $3,500 for a pair of shoes, but then all the while screaming about how broke you are and how Cordell did you so wrong? This woman is full of herself, and she's full of shit. Point blank, period. So now it's finally time for all the women to meet together and get ready to go to their trip to Savannah. So Nene is there waiting with Monique, which is her home girl that we just saw last Sunday. So she invited Monique to come and meet all the girls. And of course, the second one there after Monique is Kenya. So Kenya's there. She's an hour late, but she's there. And because she thinks she's there before the other girls, somehow that gives her some type of status. So along with Nene and Monique, Greg is sitting there like a little butler, taking coats and everything else. So what I found funny, what kind of pissed me off in this scene, Nene once again puts on this arrogant air about herself. So she says that I'm inviting all these women to my clubhouse because a lot of them don't have clubhouses because they can't afford to have a clubhouse. And I'm like, why are you so boosted about having a clubhouse? Even the most basic apartments in Charlotte, North Carolina, come with a clubhouse where you can go and rent it out and have a little party there. It's like, it's not that serious. It's just like she's so bougie for no damn reason. Anybody can have a clubhouse with their damn apartment. Unless you are in the projects, most places come with some type of clubhouse or party room. You're still outside battling the heat and trying to fan away flies. So why are you acting like you better than anybody? Like, I don't understand her attitude this season. It's just way over the top and it's just not that damn serious. So anyway, she's upset. She has an attitude because she's been waiting for 2 hours and no one has showed up besides Kenya. So shortly after Kenya gets there, Cynthia comes rolling up, but Phaedra is late and Kandi is super late. So Kandi comes, and from what I'm hearing, she was about 4 hours late, and I would have been pissed off too. That's why you gotta tell black folks, if your party is at 2 o'clock, you have to tell black people noon because they will not be there until 2. If you tell them 2, they will not get there until damn near 4 o'clock. You always got to tell black folks to come 2 hours ahead of the real time because black folks let them make an entrance. But for Kandi to come to a planned trip and be 4 hours late, I thought that was just rude and selfish. And then for her to say that, she had to stop off and get something to eat, they're going to feed you where you're going. Like, it shouldn't ever be that damn serious. But she said she had to, feed her face, and Kenya tried to crack a joke and say, Kandi needs to lay off the food and she don't need no more meals. I always find it funny when people who are fake everywhere, meaning fake tits, fake ass, liposuction, contacts. That's her real hair. I'll give her that. That is her real hair. But you're fake everywhere else. I hate when people who have fake bodies love to give critiques to everybody else. Unless you really work out and unless it's your natural body that you obtain naturally, I don't give people like that props. Folks can say, oh, Kenya Moore got a nice shape. Yeah, everybody would have a nice shape if they could afford to have ass implants, breast implants, and lipo done on their midsection. People who do stuff like that, who feel the need to knock other people and not the way people look physically, that's because they're insecure with themselves. It's almost like fat girls who get gastric bypass and they want to turn around and make fun of fat people. I would never understand that. Like, that is like one of the most disgusting things. I knew somebody like that who had gastric bypass, lost a bunch of weight. Shit was still flabby, you know what I mean? But because she was a lot smaller than other fat people, she thought that now she could have fat jokes. Like, bitch, wasn't you fat 6 months ago? Oh, okay, well, I'm going to need you not to clown nobody else because if anybody, you should know how somebody else feels who's obese or who was in your shoes. I just think that when you have to knock somebody else to make yourself feel up here, that means that you have a lot of low self-esteem issues within yourself. And she can clown Kandi's weight and clown Kandi's shape all she wants to, but at the end of the day, Kandi has a man. You're the one with this fake boyfriend, Walter. Now you're running around toting another fake boyfriend who's supposedly African that no one has met yet. So, Kandi, I'm going to need you to get your life. So in the next scene, Nene walks off. She's pissed off. She heard that Kandi stopped to go get Chick-fil-A. And Chick-fil-A is pretty good, so I guess I can't knock her too much. I got the best lemonade I've ever had. So Nene's mad. She walks off, and Cynthia and Kenya are calling her to come back. Like, we're here for you. How dare you leave? You need to come back. This is the bus. Everybody's here now. So Nene finally comes back, and Kenya decides to be the president of the school bus. You know what I mean? So instead of staying in her place and being the president of Teen No Storyline, she decides to be the president of the damn black bus. Okay, so she gets up and she makes an announcement about how she's upset that everybody was late and how she was the first one there and how she should get the best bedroom because she was there before everybody else. And Kandi just flies off the handle. Kandi starts popping off and she's like, I don't give a fuck. Ain't nobody trying to hear what you got to say. Fuck you. So a lot of folks were like, oh, get her Kandi, get her Kandi. And I'm like, no, that's bullshit. And this is why I'm going to say this is bullshit. I like it how when Kandi can get crunk on Kenya and go off, but then when her mama talks to her, she resorts back to being a 5-year-old child. If you can't even check your own mother when she's wrong and she disrespects a good man that you have by your side, I can't respect you for going off on Kenya. Because if Kandi won't step to her own mom and put her mom in her place, then she had no business trying to pop off on Kenya. And I feel like the reason why she popped up on Kenya is because of all the frustration that she has going on inside of her with her wedding, with her mama, her aunties. All that frustration boiled over, and that's when she erupted on Kenya. But to me, she needs to take all that frustration and anger and erupt on Mama Joyce and not on Kenya. That's just my opinion. So anyways, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. I am Lovely T. Go ahead, leave a comment. Let me know your favorite parts of this episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. See you guys next week. Deuces.